Coming up next, SPNN's Neighborhood News. Hi, I'm Sherine Onukwuwe. Welcome to SPNN's Neighborhood News. On this program, we interview district councils and we go out in the neighborhood and find out what people are talking about. St. Paul has a history of strong community and neighborhood participation. The district council system is a big part of that. There are 17 councils, each representing a different area of St. Paul. The district councils are independent organizations, but they do get some funding from the city as well as other sources like grants and donations. Much of the work being done by the councils is done by volunteers, community members, who want to participate in the life of their neighborhood and their community. On today's show, we talk with representatives from District Councils 1, 13, and 14. Stay with us. We're talking with Betsy Leach from District Council 1. Thanks for joining us, Betsy.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first, Betsy, if you could just tell me about the area in which you represent District Council 1 and, geographically, where is that?
So District 1 is the southeast corner of St. Paul. It's bordered on the east side by McKnight Road, so 3M is our neighbor, the big 3M campus is our neighbor. It goes all the way down to the Mississippi River, along the Mississippi River, up to Warner Road and Highway 61, and then kind of boundaries along Harding High School. The northern boundary then is Minnehaha Avenue on the east side.
So that's a pretty expansive area.
Yes, it is.
What neighborhoods does that include?
Well, it actually is the largest by area of the district councils in the city of St. Paul. And we have 4 neighborhoods that are represented: the Eastview, Conway, Battle Creek, and Highwood Hills neighborhoods. We're the 5th largest in terms of population, but we are the largest in terms of physical area.
Oh, okay. So given that, it's probably a little difficult for my next question, which is to kind of give me an idea of the identity or personality of the district, of District 1.
Well, what I can tell you is that it's characterized by a build out in the 1960s so that it looks like one of the first ring suburbs. So a lot of people don't even think they're still in St. Paul when they're in District 1, but they actually are still in the city of St. Paul. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of natural areas in our district. So the St. Paul section of Battle Creek Park, for example, is in our area. So if people want to visit a park that is more natural looking than, say, Como Park, then Battle Creek is a place to come, and you would be in District 1. It's also kind of characterized by being a bedroom community to the city of St. Paul, the way that it was built. So we don't have a lot of commercial or industrial areas except along the freeway and down along the river. So it's single family homes, but then also large apartment complexes.
So does that kind of create an issue because of the residential versus, people who rent?
It can. We've done a lot of outreach to renters. It's about, like the city of St. Paul, it's about 50% or more people who are renting rather than homeowners. But there is kind of a segregation in terms of where that housing is distributed. So that does tend to make an issue. And what we try to do is we try to send welcome packets to new neighbors who are renters as well as new neighbors who are homeowners, mm-hmm. Trying to get people to feel like they are belonging to the area.
Mm-hmm. What's some of the work that you all are doing, particularly about equity in District 1?
So we've been doing a lot of stuff internally with our own board so that we try to have a board that is representative of the community that we represent. And we've done a very good job of that. 7 of our 15 members are people of color, which is about, it's not quite what we have in terms of percentage of persons in the neighborhood, but it's very close, and the distribution of the ethnic groups is quite representative of who's actually living here. So we've been doing that internally, but we're also working across boundaries with our sister organizations across the city around a couple of equity issues. One is around transportation. And we are working on a project that'll come around this fall for a gathering of people from across the city to talk about health and transportation and how it relates to equity in people's personal lives, in their community lives, and in the environment. And then we're working on a cross-cultural dialogue project with some of our sister organizations. And so there'll be some dialogues that are going on amongst neighbors in the individual districts. So we're looking forward to having those conversations, letting people learn about who their neighbors are.
So how does, you mentioned health and transportation, and how does that intersect, or how does that impact, how does transportation impact someone's health?
Yeah. So in personal health, it's, we know that people who do a lot more walking or biking have built into their lifestyles exercise, whereas people who would spend a lot of time in automobiles, they don't have that. In community ways, there have been some studies that look about how the impact of exhaust fume, for example, increases asthma rates, and those concentrations of where the freeways are, for example, are going through communities where there's a dominance of people of color traditionally, and so that has an impact. And then economically too, we know that transportation projects really boost the local economy. So we're looking at the Central Corridor, of course, but in our area, we're going to be looking at the Gateway Corridor coming down I-94 and what potential that has for developing a healthy economy. And then, of course, environmentally, you've got pollution that's related to automobiles, not just dealing with asthma rates, but pollution that's affecting the health of the environment, not just individual health. So we're trying to look across all of those different dimensions of health and transportation. We're going to have the Commissioner of Health, State Commissioner of Health, who's going to be doing a keynote speech talking about all these connections. So we're very excited. We've got a lot of resources, and we're really working to include a lot of people in the conversation who have not been included before.
Sure. Who are some of your sister organizations that you mentioned, some of your partners?
Yeah, so in that particular project, all the district councils are going to be involved, but the folks who've been involved in planning is the Hamlin Midway Coalition, St. Anthony Park, and also Matt Groveland, who've been in the planning part, and then District 2, which is just our sister to the north of us on the east side, has also been involved. But we have partners, including the Department of Health, the Department of Transportation, the District Council Collaborative, St. Paul Smart Trips, the University of Minnesota. It's just a huge array of partners. It's been very exciting working on that project.
Great. Well, it is an issue, as you brought up, and what would you like to see happen, or what are some of the ideas that are coming out of the conversation about how to alleviate the issues around transportation and how it adversely impacts health?
Well, I'd say, first of all, just in terms of geographic equity, that we've had a lot of focus on the Central Corridor and the communities along the Central Corridor. And it's time now to look at building out the transportation system so that we have bikeways, we have transit ways in other parts of the city, the west side, the east side of St. Paul, which have been basically neglected in a lot of ways around putting in infrastructure for bicycles and walking, and also the transit. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking at now, hoping that what we will do by looking across the city is to have people realize on the western side of town how important it is to build out these transportation infrastructure on the eastern side of town and on the west side. Because, we don't just live in our neighborhoods, we live in the whole city, we live in the metro area. And if we don't have these connections made, then, it's not good for any of us.
So Talk a little bit about the youth initiatives in particular that you all have going on right now that are continuous to try to reach young people.
Yeah, we have we have a little bit more percentage-wise of youth in our area than the city as a whole. So, you know, we have more youth than the city as a whole in our area. On the east side, that's very true. We also have more seniors in our area than the city as a whole, in percentage-wise. And so what we were trying to realize is that the future of our organization, the future of our neighborhood, has to do with developing a sense of civic engagement amongst our youth. And these youth are predominantly people of color. And so again, they represent the future of what our district is becoming. And so what we want to do is we want to have opportunities for young people to get together and get to know each other, because we don't have a lot of gathering places in our neighborhood. So get to know each other and know that there are other kids who are interested in doing positive things in the neighborhood. So we have a young men's group that was founded by two of our board members, Tim Turner, an African-American man in the neighborhood, and Chris Melendez, who is Puerto Rican and who grew up in the neighborhood. And they've developed this group of about 30 kids ranging in age from 10 to 18, who have been working with the local businesses on projects, who are going to be in the Rondo's Day parade this weekend, coming weekend, and have just been having conversations with leaders about, you know, opportunities that are available to them. What we're trying to do now with our staff member, Ebony, is to have her be developing a young women's group that's comparable to this. And then in addition to that, to develop a youth council that basically mimics what it is that our board of directors does, but from a youth perspective, youth directed, and working on projects that youth are interested in. So we really see this as a way to build power amongst our young people, to give them a voice, because they haven't had a voice in our neighborhood before, and so many of the decisions we're making affect them directly.
So National Night Out, a lot of councils, or do all councils, I guess, participate in National Night Out? What in particular do you all have planned for your National Night Out?
So we're a little bit different than some of the district councils, is that we don't focus so much on the small block club meetings that go on National Night Out. For the past several years, we've done a large community gathering at the Conway Rec Center, focusing on trying to include the apartments that are right around there, and having an opportunity for folks in those apartments to come together and meet neighbors generally. So we have, last year we had about 600 people that showed up at the event. We're planning it again for August 5th. We have music, we have food. One of the local churches that has a Hmong congregation does a free fresh food giveaway. And I think they gave away something like 800 pounds of produce last year. So we're looking forward to that going on again this year. There are activities for young people and so on. So it's not so much focused on the crime and safety, it's focused on who we are as a community and coming together and just celebrating. And we don't have a lot of gathering spaces, as I said before, or community events that are going on. So this is our big event of the year.
How do people get involved in this particular district?
So there's a variety of ways that we can get involved, like the events that we have. There's the National Night Out, there are the community cleanup and that sort of thing that people can get involved in events. We also help people around issues that they have for their particular neighborhoods. They will contact our office and we will try to put them in touch with others or with resources that they need to solve their problems, kind of educate people on how to do for themselves. Then we do have volunteer opportunities in the office and that kind of thing. We have a good internship program with local, especially with Century College students that come in and work with us. So trying to find opportunities for people to do things. But we're really trying to just build a sense of community, make connections amongst people, amongst neighbors. That's our big focus. with this organization.
Well, it sounds like you all are doing a lot of terrific work and meaningful work, especially around the equity transportation project or issue, and building rich foundations for kids to be able to, not only become involved in, but take leadership.
Take leadership.
Well, do you have a website or anything? How would people get in touch if they did want to get involved?
We do have a website. It's district1council.org, and it's the number one, not spelled out.
Okay.
And we have a blog as well that you can connect through from our website. We're also on Twitter or on Facebook. It's a Facebook group, not a Facebook page, so people have to basically ask to be invited to join us. But we do make those kind of connections. We try to have that social thing. We're also in Sunrise Shopping Center, so we have a storefront that we share with the police officers on the east side. And this is an opportunity for people who are just walking around and need something to stop in and say hi.
Okay. Well, great. It was wonderful talking to you, and good luck with all the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us, Betsy. Take care.
Thanks so much.
We'll be back. That's it for this month. Thanks for watching.